Welcome to Principles of Marketing class. In our previous class, we discussed about the marketing and the government part. So, in that class, we discussed about the third party guarantee that is given by the Ministry of Government under the uh, BIS and AGMARC. Okay, so BIS is usually a quality control body, which is a department of government of India, which comes under the Ministry of Indian government. Okay, so that one is basically for the to check the quality and the safety aspects with the standard of international. So previously it was called ISO, now it was BIS. So usually it is applicable for all the electrical electronics items. Then we discussed about agmark. Agmark is nothing but the term is coined by the meaning ag. Ag means like agriculture, mark means a quality mark. So any agricultural product which has got agmark, it is a guarantee from the Ministry of Ministry of Agriculture under the Department of Agriculture. They are a third party guarantee that the product is pure and safe to use. Okay, so we also learned that Agmark has got laboratories in all the divisions around India in different regions where they check the quality of the food, whether there is any presence of pesticide, insecticide, or any other microbiological, harmful microbiological things present in the agricultural products. So we also learned that they do test on microbiological the pathogens and all those things, and also for a presence of any I mean any pesticides or any other adulterations are there. So once a agricultural product like honey, then ghee or wheat product or spices has got that Akmark seal, it means that the product is pure product, it is safe product, it is it is of high quality. So that is we learned from the from the previous classes. In today's class we are going to discuss about consumerism. The word itself, consumerism, is self-explanatory, which means that consumer of the product. So who is the meaning of consumer is people who are using. So someone using a product or services is called consumer, and this term is called consumerism. So consumerism is a belief that the personal well-being and happiness depend to a very large extent on the level of personal consumptions, particularly on the purchase of the material goods. As we all know, this world, it's a materialistic world. People always want to buy things, use things, and all those things like that. So what happened? The actual meaning of consumerism is that it's people believe that their well-being and happiness is depend to large extent on the usage of product and services and purchase of these goods. Okay, so that is the actual meaning of consumerism. So the idea is not simply that well-being depends upon a standard of living above the threshold, but that the center of happiness is a consumption and material possessions. So it is not just like buying and using that our happiness and well-being is depend, but also consumption of more materialistic products and possession of more materialistic products. There is a saying in English that more the merrier. So here, more we products and services we have and we use and we own, there it is a perception that people will be more happy. Okay, if more they have, if more they possess, if more product and services material they use, more they're happy. So that is the center of this whole idea, consumerism. A consumerist society is one in which people devote a great deal of time, energy, resources, and thought to consuming. So what happened in this consumerist society, people spend lot of time, their energy and then resources, and thought of thinking about earning money, buying products, materials, and using the materials, and owning the materials. So they think that is the the idea of the whole life. The general view of life in a consumerist society is consumption is good and more consumption is better. uh, Generally speaking about this consumerism, our consumerist society is that our whole goal in life is to buy things, consume the goods, and more we buy and more the things we use, that is better. So that is the perception of the people in this materialistic world today. So, United States is a classic example of hyper-consumerist society. People are constantly bombarded with advertisements urging them to buy things. Just now we discussed that people nowadays, the mindset, the perception is that more things we buy, more things we use or consume, and more things we own and possess are the center of the happiness, are the that's a meaning of life. Okay, having so many things in our life. Okay, for that they are given the classic example, the scholars are giving is a United States. They term United States as a hyper consumerist society, as they are the people around the world who throughout the world they are the people who like to own so many products and services, and they consume so much of goods than any other nation around the world. So here, how they have been, made to buy means it's through bombardment of advertisements. Okay, these advertisements, forcing them, or like brainwashing them, or tempting them to buy more and more product to, buy more and more product, and they consume more and more products. Such advertisements promote not simply specific product but also a vision of good life and what it takes to be happy. So these advertisements is not just tempting them to buy a particular product or a specific product, but they also create a illusion. Okay, through their promotion advertisements, that for this kind of lifestyle, good lifestyle, what they promote as a good lifestyle, and this you have to buy those products, and then if you buy these products, you will reach this kind of good life, you will enjoy, you will lead this kind of good life, and this good life will lead you give you happiness. Okay, what it makes you happy. So what happens, the whole idea, like going to a fast food chain restaurant, then buying a plate of chicken fry or burger, and spending time with the family. Okay, some brands or some chains of restaurant, they advertise that if you that's a place not just to go and eat, but it's a place to socialize. It means that if you go there with your family, you can find your relatives there, you can find your friends there during the weekend. Okay, so what happens, you can have time to socialize. So they are creating an illusion that that is yeah, a way to live life, a way to be happy, and that is what from where you get your happiness. Okay, so that's a kind of illusion these marketers create through their promotions and advertisements. So people go deeply into debt in order to buy things beyond basic necessity. So what happens when you want to buy, when the society becomes a hyper consumerist society, so what happens, people end up in buying so many things, and most of the things it's not even necessary for them. They just buy because they think that if you own this one, if you use this one, if you possess this one, okay, it will give them a high standard of life, and this high standard of life will bring them happiness. So what happens, this eventually put these people, I mean the consumers, into a kind of debt, okay, in order to buy so many things. So they end up in buying things which may not be necessary, okay, maybe for some people necessary, but not for everyone. So when you buy things like a larger house, a giant television, a HD television, and a fancy or a luxury cars, okay, it may be necessary for a few sect of people, but if everyone started buying this, what happened? They end up in a heavy debt, and then they work, spend more time to earn the money and repay the debt. Okay, so what happens in that one? They end up in like working so hard. When they work so hard is okay, but you have to spend more time in working and looking for ways to earn additional or extra money. So eventually they spend less time with their family. Okay, so when you spend less time with the family, then you don't have quality time to spend with your family. So then there is a wide, I mean, gap between people, between the household, I mean, and the family. So there are problems with the hyper consumerism. So that's where the problem starts. So when people see are bombarded with this kind of advertisement by the marketers, they end up in seeing, and then they come up with the illusion, or they presume that I mean we have to buy so many things in order to, I mean, lead that kind of life which is good for them, which makes them happy. So they, I mean, they end up in buying like a higher purchase, or they buy debt through the credit cards, through the banks and financial institutions, and then they buy everything. So once they buy everything, then by every month, they have to, start paying back the bills. Okay, when they started paying back all the bills, then they don't have money left to spend for throughout the month. Then they have to look for ways to earn additional money, and then they spend most of their, their wake hours in only working, so they miss their family. So we will see here in this slide what are the, problems or challenges in a hyper consumer society. So the first one is the environmental sustainability. So now we look at a holistic view, okay, and then we go into a specific a people problem. So environmental sustainability, what happens? The planet is simply incapable of supporting American style consumption everywhere. We need to stop buying so many things. So what happens? Our planet cannot support the American style consumption of life, because I mean they use so many products, and then what happened? Because of that, since they are using so many products which is mostly not necessary, what happens? They have to increase the production. When the production are increased, they need a lot of tons and tons of raw materials. So where do the raw materials come from? So that raw materials come from by depleting the renewable and non-renewable resources. So many trees are cut. The coals are dug and taken out, and then mountains are vanishing in order to build big houses and all those things. So what happened? One way we are spoiling the nature by taking all the things like trees and supposed to be there and using more water and everything. Other way, people buy so many things, after that they don't use, then they end up in in the garbage. So what happens? We are increasing our garbage level every day, every month, to tons and tons in every country. So what happens? One way, for requirement of raw materials, we are spoiling the resources, and another way, in disposing the garbages, we are spoiling the our natural environment. So that these are the things. And then if you look, scrutinize and look deeper into that, we by doing all these things, we end up in polluting everything, right from polluting the air, polluting the, noise pollution, and we pollute the soil, we pollute the water. Okay, and we are not going to leave a safe earth planet to our next generations by simply buying so many things. So the scholars and environmental, protection groups, what they are advising, Okay, we need to stop buying so many things. In other words, buy what is necessary for you. Okay, don't buy things because that you assume that will give a high better lifestyle and happiness. Okay, or that things comes in sale, or that thing they are giving promotion and all those things. So the advice is very clear that buy only things when you need, which are necessary. Then second one is stress. Things cost money, okay, and the money takes time to earn. Many people in contemporary society feel enormous time binds in their lives, in part because they are caught in a work that time scarcity is a continual source of stress. All of you know what is a stress, right? The stress actually to some extent is good. It brings out the best out of every human being, but too much stress, all the time stress among us is very bad. Okay, so how we are getting stress? Okay, so now we look at that in this hyper consumerism society. We discuss that it takes a lot of money to buy so many things we think is necessary for us, which makes us happy. So what happens if you want to buy many things? We need a lot of money. Okay, so how do we get money? We have to earn money. Okay, so when we start want to earn money means, I mean, we have to earn, I mean, we have to work like so many hours. Okay, so when many people, I mean, now what happens, since they spend most of their waking time in working, so what happened, they are shortage of time for other things. Things like I mean, spending time with their family members. So what happened, they eventually end up in, I mean, eating the sleeping time, or taking the sleeping time, consuming the sleeping time. And then what happens, all the time they are shortage of money because they are caught in the work most of their wake up time. So this time scarcity, that no time making them, giving them a, I mean, a continuous source of stress. Okay, that's a one side, because shortage of time. Okay, they are I mean, handle stress. And another time, because as mentioned earlier, they are using their sleeping time so to do other things. What happened, they are deprived of sleep. As you all know, a normal adult should have like a minimum 7 to 8 hours of sleep per day. So what happens when they just started taking the time from the sleep, it becomes 6 hours, 5 hours, and 4 hours also for many people. So they end up in I mean, it end up in mental, psychological problems. Okay, and also thereby the physiological problem. So lack of or deprivation of sleep, okay, will end up in giving you lot of diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, and all those things. That's one side. Another, lack of time to spend for their personal issues, like spending time with their loved ones. Also, it is giving them the stress. So this in a whole, I mean, is spoiling the mental and physical health of the problem. So the major, there are so many other issues, but the two major issues are discussed. What will happen because of the hyper consumerism society? One we have discussed is the environmental sustainability, where we learn that, I mean, supporting American style of consumption is not possible everywhere. Already this thing is spoiling the countries around the US, deprivating of their forest, and polluting their lakes and rivers and land. And if people around the world is going to live the American style of consumption, then what happens, it is going to spoil the whole world. Okay, and then that's one side. Other aspect, it is personally, it is giving more stress to the people, because they need more money to buy more things. And then if they need more money, they have to earn, and they have to I mean, eventually spend most of their wake up time in the workplace, thereby they're having shortage of time. I mean, their sleep is deprived. So this is I mean, affecting physically and mentally the people. So these are the, I mean, problems and challenges in a hyper consumer society. Okay, so that's all for today. In our next class, we will discuss about consumer protection. Thank you.